doing today?
I am doing phenomenal. How are you, Easton?
Doing really good. Hey guys, if you're watching this on a replay, if you could comment replay, that would be amazing. And as we're waiting for you guys to get into the room here, just as you're joining, let us know where you're from and what you photograph in the comments. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds here. But for those of you that are new to our group and have just joined recently, this is something that we do all the time. At least once a week, we have a guest speaker come in and just share something with us from their expertise. And today is kind of amazing day because Jamie actually, she didn't like just start teaching something that like other people teach or like that even other people could teach. She like came up with and created this entire thing that she teaches called personal branding photography. So I'm super excited to get going with her. We're just going to kind of keep this casual today. We're going to just talk about things back and forth, sort of in like an open discussion. And so if you guys have questions for her, please post them as we're going live, and we'll try to answer them. And if not, we'll be able to answer them after we're done. All right, Jamie, you ready to jump in here?
I'm so ready.
Okay. So my first question for you is, what is this? What is personal branding? I think a lot of people can get it mixed up because you have commercial work, you have headshots, right? How is this different, or is it the same than those other two things?
I know it's definitely different. And let me kind of give you a story of how I came. Well, I didn't come up with this, but I really like help lead the charge forward with this. So a couple of years ago, I wanted to continue growing my online business. And I saw that the people who were really succeeding had personal brands and were really putting themselves up front and center in their marketing. And as a mom of 6 kids, I didn't really want to be the center of my brand. I'd always use the Modern Talk brand as the face and the thing. But I love connecting with people, and I saw that this was more and more important going forward. So I said, hey, I work with photographers. I could easily find somebody to help me take a bunch of photos that I could use on social media, on my websites, all over the place to help grow my business and my personal brand. And so I started looking for photographers, and I think this was late 2017 at the time. I think it was like November my microphone just slipped. November or December of 2017. And I saw tons of photographers who took beautiful photos, but very few who really understood what I needed as an online entrepreneur and didn't like require me to do some, like there are some deal breakers that I had, and I can share those if you want, 5 deal breakers that people did that just made me like absolutely unwilling to hire them. So what I was looking for was somebody, one, who understood more about like what made a strong image that would connect with the clients I was trying to serve. And then 2, the business strategy behind it, like not just taking a pretty photo, like, yeah, I wanted to look awesome and have great photos, but like, you know, I wanted them to really understand the value of storytelling in images and the format that I needed. And there were really only 4 people that I saw marketing it well and speaking to me. Like that was anywhere I could find. Now there's lots more because I started sharing that with photographers. But so I basically, I've led the charge in it. There were a few people doing it, just not super, not tons of them. And so it's kind of a mix between lifestyle and, you know, more like portrait work that's story-based and commercial work. It's not full commercial because you're not doing super like high-end, you know, productions like you might do for an ad where you're trying to get one single image that's got all these elements or whatever. They're more consumable, like the images are used once maybe on social media, or maybe it's a hero image that's used in a couple places, but mostly the images are used once and then not used again, but they need a steady stream of images. So there's less focus on making it a perfectly edited photo. Like, you know, you're not going to spend 45 minutes retouching every image to get a flawless face and all the stuff like you would if it was going to be an image that's going to go up on the wall. But you still want them to be able to tell a story and create a connection with the entrepreneur's audience so that they can grow their audience, they can get more sales, they can get more people to follow them, they can really build that authentic connection. And the way you do that is through telling stories that the people connect with. And so that's kind of how it's different. So it's a little different than portraits where you just make somebody look good as well. It's kind of a mix between the two. And the pricing is kind of a hybrid of the two as well.
That's very cool. So walk me through like an ideal client situation. So you're a personal brand photographer. You go out and you find your most ideal client. Who is that? And then walk me through what you do for them.
Yeah. So one of the main things you should be looking for as a photographer for an ideal client is somebody who is looking to save time in their business and they don't want to do this themselves. Because when entrepreneurs get to a certain level, like I'm a photographer, my husband's a photographer, and so he could technically take a bunch of photos of me for me, right? But I wanted him in some of the stories, and I didn't want to always be taking photos in the moment. I wanted somebody who could come in, do strategy with me, and basically take 90 days worth of photos in an afternoon or a day or whatever it took, and really hit on all the different themes that I wanted my audience to connect with me over. So I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a photographer, I'm a creative, and I really love nature, right? So I wanted all of those things to be in my images, and my ideal clients connect with that. Most of the people that I work with are women in their late 30s who have kids who are also trying to build a photography business. And, so I wanted to be able to connect with them and show my daily life that way. And so ideally, a photographer would be coming in, strategizing around the themes, what kind of photos they could take, and then producing at least 90 days of content so that every day I could just go to this bank of photos, grab one, write a caption, post it to social media, be ready to go. But then also if I needed to update my Facebook group covers or my website or whatever it was, I would have images ready that were, like we could plan for that. They could be ready to go. I didn't have to worry about using the same old update or old photo over and over and over again. And then I'd work with them every single quarter. So this is the beautiful thing for photographers, is that if you can because they need photos consistently. It's not just like one and done. And so if you can get somebody who works with you on an ongoing basis, now you have income that you can count on. You have revenue that's not going to stop coming in. And that was a really big deal these past few months. Or what was it, 2 months now since this whole COVID thing hit, because the photographers who I've worked with and trained to learn how to get recurring clients that work with them on an ongoing basis, they didn't see their revenue dip from those clients. They just had to push the session off until they were able to shoot again. But they have that money coming in. They have that steady stream of income, and they don't always have to be marketing. The more of these recurring clients they get, the more secure their business is, and it's less seasonal, so you're not getting to spring where you need to start shooting again and you're out of money, and then you do 6 months of just crazy shooting and working all the time, and then you have 6 months off again where you're trying to make sure you don't spend all your money. That goes away. You have a steady cash flow. So that's the ideal client. It's the recurring ones. And they're out there, man. There are so many entrepreneurs who need this on an ongoing basis. They see the value of growing a personal brand, and they're absolutely willing to pay a lot of money for somebody who understands what they need to grow that personal brand beyond just beautiful photos. They have to understand that strategy.
Right. So let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So let's assume, would a gym owner be a good client?
First of all? If they have a social media account, for sure.
So let's say I find a gym owner, local gym owner. He's been in business 2 or 3 years, and he's struggling marketing-wise, getting new clients, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't really have too much of a presence, but he wants to have that presence. He hires you. You come in, and you're going to go, okay, so what's the message? What are we trying to sell, right? You're going to actually do some of the marketing conversations with him, right?
Yes.
And then you're going to be, okay, so here's goal number 1, here's goal number 2. All right, we're going to do some sessions over in the boxing ring. We're going to do some out front of the whole place, right? And so the idea here is that you're bringing this business and making it more visible by allowing them to have social media type of posts that would be maybe, the whole left side of the picture is left with negative space, and you've got the owner of it right there, right? And then that way they can add their text over top of it, use it for their ads, use it for their, okay, we got you.
And I mean, You know, Easton, how important it is to have images that capture attention in the newsfeed when you're running them as ads. And you know that, I mean, video is great and, there's a lot of uses for that, but an image can capture attention in a split second if it's done correctly and you understand the strategy behind it. And that's what they need. That's how marketing works, is we get their attention and then we want them to dive deeper, either read the description or play the video. Like I use a lot of the photos that I have taken of me as thumbnails on my videos to capture that quick attention. And so when you understand that strategy and you sit down with an entrepreneur like this gym owner, I actually created a full questionnaire that's part of my story sessions system, which is a whole system that I sell for doing this from start to finish. And it walks you through all the questions you need to ask them. And then I explain how to use the answers from every single question to make sure that you're designing a photo shoot that does help them get more clients, that does help their ads get more attention, and so cost less for them. And that expertise is golden. Like that when you can actually get them more clients, it just changes everything. So if you take a realtor, for example, if they just sell one extra house in a year, they work on commission. I don't know what the real estate commissions are like. They vary from state to state. I know in Minnesota, it's around 8% is typical. They might have to split that with another one. So let's just say it's like, let's say 5%, just because it's easy math when it's 5%. If they sell one extra house at $200,000, that's a $10,000 commission for them. One extra sale. And when people are selling or buying a house, they really want somebody they can trust, that they feel really gets their interest. And so if you can explain how having these photos online and creating that connection with the people that you are selling houses for and listing houses with, if they feel like they know, like, and trust you, they're going to be more likely to work with you than some random person who only has a formal headshot next to the like sold sign that they don't really know, because this is one of the biggest transactions in their lives and they want to make sure that somebody has their back. And so that's, if they can just connect with a few extra people that are going to trust them to either sell their house or to help them buy a house, they're going to make a ton of money. And so there's a ton of value in providing this. When you can communicate it to them, it's a no-brainer and they really want it. And with that strategy in place, it's very easy to produce those kinds of results for people.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so we kind of know what it is at this point, right? We know who we should be going after to some extent, who would be a good client for this, right?
Yeah.
But let's take it to the next level. So I've never done, let's assume I've never done this before. I've never done a single personal branding session. How do I convince them that they need it, and without being able to show results? Like, and are they only doing this, like, somebody that's doing a family session, the end result they're looking for is the photos, right? And that's basically where it stops. They're not going to make any money off of their own photos, most likely. But when it comes to these personal branding clients, and anyone could take these photos, right? But why would I hire you? Because I'm assuming from a business standpoint, I would need to make money off of this. So how do we translate that to people? So it's like, hey, we can come in, we're going to take these awesome photos so you can use them for marketing. Hopefully they'll make you money. Or like, how do you take that step to connect it for them?
Totally. So there's two different ways that I definitely recommend promoting this. Number one is a time saver. We all have the same amount of time. You can't buy more time, but you kind of can. So if they spend 30 minutes a day taking their own photo, or taking getting ready for it, trying to figure out what they're going to shoot, getting the props together, making the hair look good, taking 300 photos, picking the best one, doing the editing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. 30 minutes is probably minimal if they're trying to do it themselves, but let's just go with it. They do 30 minutes a day and they do this 7 days a week. That ends up being 45 hours every quarter that they are spending doing photography. And so if they hire somebody, they can essentially spend maybe 5 hours, on a longer session plus strategy, maybe a little longer if they want a lot, maybe a little less. But let's say they spend 5 hours working with a photographer. They now have a 40-hour chunk free that they basically get back for working for you. So even if your photos don't do any good for their business, you've now bought them an extra week every single quarter, which then translates to an extra month out of their year. That is an extra month. And think about how much money they could make using that extra month every year to sell their stuff. And so selling based on time savings is a really fantastic way to promote this, especially if you're not feeling very secure about being able to get results. Number two, though, is when you can put this in terms that they understand. So there isn't a single elevator pitch that works for everybody. You really need to understand who you're talking to and what's going to make this a win for them. How can we make this concrete? So for the example of a realtor, you already heard like, hey, if you can build that connection so you just sell one more house in a year, you've now got an extra $10,000 in your pocket. And these images coupled with stories, because I really believe that stories are how people connect. There's lots of studies that show that we connect to story, that it changes the way we think. We actually follow the outline of a story. But when we can do that and help them connect in a deeper level, they are going to get more sales, right? And we can just say, just one sale is 10,000. Imagine if you had 5 sales. Like, this is a no-brainer from you. So that's a realtor. Maybe for the gym owner, it's for them, they have memberships, most of them that I am aware of, right? And their concern is getting people to stay members. They get a lot of people who join in January, and then, they come for a month or two and then they cancel because they give up on their resolution, and maybe it's just 2 weeks, who knows? But eventually people stop using it and they cancel. So if they can hire a personal brand photographer and they can maybe they come in, this photographer comes in and highlights a bunch of their clients and the success stories that they're having and takes photos of that, or it takes photos of the different classes that are offered, or the different, like maybe they help the gym owner decide or like identify some of the tips that they could share online in terms of how they could do workouts or things on the machines. And they could take photos of all, the gym owner using those machines so that they have this steady stream of tips. And that helps them retain more of their clients longer. Like if they can take their average membership length from 3 months to 6 months, that doubles their revenue. And so when you can get really concrete with one, understanding exactly what matters to the person you're talking to, and then 2, putting that into concrete dollar amounts for them. And you can even ask them, like, how much is how long does your typical client stay a member? How much would it be worth for you to have them stay even just one more member? How can we use this session to help with retention and engagement? Then it becomes a no-brainer for them. So we need to be really aware of how we help people. And that's something that, it takes a little forethought, but when we can get super specific, it's super effective.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that applies to every area of our businesses. Like so often when we're working with our clients one-on-one, they are not aware of what the problem or hesitation or frustration is that's holding their client back from booking with them. And when you can identify that and then really break that down and rebuild the correct mindset, sort of like Russell Brunson teaches, right? That's where you're able to finally break through that little blockage and get them to realize the true value in what you're offering. So I love that. I think that's amazing. Now, how much can I make doing this personal branding photography? And maybe some examples from your students, like what's the reality here? If I add this on as a new service to my photography business, what can I expect for the first year?
Yeah, it's going to vary widely depending on what part of the country you're in. If you're in rural Iowa, your results are going to be a lot lower than, say, if you were in LA, assuming there isn't COVID restrictions and whatever else. But that there is a lot of variation. But in terms of ranges, when you're just starting out and you're trying to build your portfolio, and actually I have a whole script that I let people use for free that helps them get their first paying portfolio building clients. Most people charge around $500, and that's a no-brainer offer that people sweep up and grab quickly. That's definitely a middle market package. So you need to know if you want the middle market clients that just work with you once every so often and aren't doing the recurring packages, The recurring high-end clients who really want that strategy and who really want somebody who can come in and work through, like I literally teach this whole story session system. It's a story-based system for getting these stories and showing them in images so that you can create the images that get your clients results. And then it teaches you how to leverage those results to get them to refer you to all their friends, frankly.
Right.
But that kind of client, it really, I would say in a lower end market, a recurring client is going to pay $1,000 to $2,000 per quarter, as much as $5,000 to $10,000 per quarter, depending on what your deliverables are, how much strategy you're doing with them, how much image, processing you're doing after the fact. You kind of become a team member. If you think of yourself as a team member, like a contractor, but a team member for somebody who works with them regularly, it's less than they would pay for a part-time employee, but they don't have to work with you all the time. It's, once a quarter or once a month, whatever it is. So it can be quite lucrative. And most of the students in my course are seeing that if they could book everything they needed, 12 to 14 recurring clients is all they would need to hit their income goals for the year and be fully booked and make what they want to make. So most people start with that middle market. It's hard to get those recurring clients if you haven't first done a session with them. So I do recommend starting with kind of a middle market package, and then definitely basically using sales techniques to convert them into a recurring client. It's not pushy once they've worked with you. They want to make sure that your images are good, that it's going to be a great experience. It's very easy to upsell those into recurring clients, but it just takes a while. Get that first one, and then they tend to domino effect. But I think there's some beliefs that we have to overcome that I see a lot of photographers struggle to believe anyone would want to hire them on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
And then so for those people, it can really take a while for them to book that first client, because when they're pitching it, they're unsure of themselves and their body language says that, even if they say the right words. And so that person kind of picks up on that, right? But when they're confident, after they book that first one and they know, oh my gosh, this is great, people want it, I see them booking more much faster because they get it. They see they can provide value and they have that confidence. So the trend I've seen is people taking a while to book that first recurring client, but once they've got that, it tends to take off faster.
Love it. Very cool. Okay, so once you get one client in a specific niche, does it make more sense to continue to go down that niche? Because you have the portfolio to display and show results, or would you in your very beginnings try to get 3 or 4 different types of businesses on board so that you can go down all 3 of those avenues or whatever? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Because we don't need a lot of clients, I'm a firm believer that the more specific we can be, the more effective everything we do is. Because when we're speaking, you heard the differences between speaking to a realtor and a gym owner. The way you market to each of them, very different. The way they make money is different. And so you can do multiples, but start with one, target a specific kind of client, and then really, before you worry about targeting other people, if you work with them and they get awesome results, you can even check, if they're posting to Instagram and their engagement rate, their likes go up by, 20% or 50%, or you see the number of comments increases, which is all public stuff you can see just by looking on Instagram. Then you can ask them for a case study. Say, hey, I noticed once you started using these photos, whatever. So you can get a case study and leverage that, which is right in that industry. Mm-hmm. But 2, I just love the simple question, which is, hey, I can only take a certain number of recurring clients a year because I work with them several times a year, and I really want to be focused on giving them the highest level of service. So I only have 12 spots, and I know that awesome people know other awesome people. So before, I go pushing this more in other areas, is there anybody you specifically know that you think might want to work with me? Now that you've worked with me, you've gotten these results. And that has been a huge way for people to get new bookings, because they're like, oh yeah, I know this person and that person. And they feel good because they've worked with you. They like the experience. They're getting results. And so they want to be able to help their friends. And if they know it's limited, that tends to they're just it's like giving them the secret into a secret club, and Easton, you know how hard it is. You know how hard it is to find good team members who really get it, who work hard, who get results. And so when people find somebody good to work with them in their business, they're super loyal to them, and they tend to be happy to help promote. So
very cool. All right, awesome. Now, we do have a couple questions coming in here.
Sure.
So let's see. We have somebody is asking, like, how do you price a session per hour or per digital? Like, so what are you only giving them digitals when you're delivering? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, it's only digital because we're not selling prints, and it's consumable digitals for the most part. So it's a little different than normal. What I recommend doing is basing your packages on two different things. One, how many stories are you going to focus on in a photo session? And so what are the different themes? So maybe it's going to be like, for me, it was like the mother. So we had family photos, mother and husband. Then we had like me as a photographer. So me with my camera out. We had me in nature. It's kind of like creating mini shoots, all one after another. So if you're going to do more of those, you need to charge more. If you're going to do less, you charge less. So number of stories that you're going to be focused on, and then also the number of images that you guarantee to deliver, and then also the number of times you're going to work with them in a year. And so if you're just doing one versus if you're doing it monthly, it's going to be very different.
Right. All right, very cool. Let's see if we have any others. B Live is being annoying like normal and not showing me the actual comments. And then on the live, I can only see the most recent 4 comments.
Right. Right.
So
maybe people could retype them and put them in again if they.
Yeah, guys, if we haven't answered your question, go ahead and retype it really quick just so that we can answer it live. If not, we'll answer it afterwards. But I apologize for that. Okay, so I'm picking up and getting the sense that this is a little different, right? Because probably people's brains are going, wait, only digitals? How am I going to make money, right? And all these other things, right? So break it down for me, because I feel like there's a lot of differences here. Am I still going to be asking them to give me credit in these photos, like those types of things? I think this ties back into your 5 deal breakers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't explain those.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
So give us those real quick.
Yeah. So number one, you can't use outdated pricing models. You can't do in-person sales. You need to charge what you're going to charge up front, which is scary for some people, but you will lose business owners who have to go through the whole rigmarole of picking images and everything else later on. And we did try doing that early on in this, and we found that it's much easier if you just say, we guarantee a minimum of these, and then you give them all the images above and beyond that you may take, or just keep it to that and you deliver that. So you can't do in-person sales. Don't try and keep upselling them, because you'll lose those people. They want it simple. They want a budget for it. They want to know what to expect. So and we are giving full resolution digital images here. We're letting them use them in almost any way that they want to commercially. And so it's definitely different than, what we've done in the past. We do have, we have to give them a little bit more control. So, all right. Second, let me talk about, so no in-person sales. So the second one is really allowing them to edit the photos. And I know that one makes the hair on the back of most photographers' necks stand up, but if they're working with graphic designers, if they're publishing a book, if they are speaking at a conference and somebody wants to edit the photo to match the branding, like let's say they're doing them all black and white and they're, taking one item and putting it in color, as much as we all hate that. If that's their branding, we have to remember that our images are out there to help them grow their brand and their business. And we need to give them a little bit more freedom for that. If they have a proprietary Instagram filter they put on everything, we need to allow them to do that, or ask them what kind of, final image editing look do they want us to do, so that we can make it as tasteful as possible and still match. Okay. So that's a couple things. We definitely don't want to require image credit. If they are running a Facebook ad, Easton, you probably have taught this, so this is obvious. The last thing they want to do is have to put a link to your website on an ad or something like that, because then they're essentially paying to promote our business, and it makes their ad costs go up, and it's just a mess. And so we don't watermark, we don't require image credits. We really have to think of ourselves as working for them. And then, let's see, the fourth one is that we need to really understand how they're using the images for web use. Like you said, we need to have lots of white space, so that if they want to put a some text on an image. I had one of my images blown up on a screen that was 15 feet tall by 60 feet wide. And I know, it's incredible. And they had to have a lot of white space on the edges. Like, you have to be able to shoot it long and narrow so that they can put the information that they wanted to around the edges of that, which was another area where, man, they edited that thing to look terrible. But I got my image on a 60-foot wide screen in front of 1,000 people. And that was so, so cool to have there. But they needed the space to be able to crop for something like that. A Facebook group banner is really skinny and long. And so we need to keep that in mind when we're shooting. So that's part of what we asked them in the session beforehand. And then finally, we really need to make sure that our photos reflect their brand and that we know how to share their stories. They can't just be beautiful images. They can't just be a specific studio style that doesn't reflect who they are. I have a friend who's a mommy blogger, and she helps people get out of chaos and create organizations in their homes. And she went to have a lifestyle session done by a photographer in a studio.
Sorry.
And did I cut out?
No, I had audio started playing over top of you.
Oh, I didn't hear it. Gotcha. All right.
Okay,
So she went to have a bunch of lifestyle photos done in a studio with a photographer so that she could connect with her people more and use them on social media. And this photographer said, "Oh yeah, we do lifestyle. We'll do this." But they actually did more of a glamour session with her, and she got them back, and they were beautiful. She's like, "These are gorgeous, but I can't use them in my business because they don't reflect my brand. And my people are going to see the image and they're going to be like, this isn't who, like, I can't relate to her. She's all put together and I'm like living in chaos around here, And so you have to make sure that you really understand who their audience is and that you know how to take images that actually connect with their audience. So that's kind of the big 5 deal breakers, is making sure the photos reflect the brand, making sure you're understanding how to shoot for how they're going to be used on online all over. You need to let them edit it. You need to make sure you are not requiring them to credit, and you need to keep the pricing model simple and all up front. You can't be doing this crazy in-person sales. I mean, can I get a hallelujah? No in-person sales. Like, yeah, right? You just make your money. You don't have to feel like you're upselling. You don't have to feel cheesy at all. Like, most photographers love that one. So yeah, those things will turn people away.
Well, very cool. Those are some incredible tips and very contrary to what you would typically do outside of that niche. So I love that. Now, Jamie, you've got some resources I've posted about on the comments, but guys, there's an incredible group that you can join, Jamie's group on Facebook, where there's tons of other people that are doing the same thing, and she's in there constantly giving amazing feedback to them and help and training. So make sure that you join that group. And also, Jamie gets on here right before we started today, and she goes, "Easton, I had to do something special for your audience." And I was like, "What did you do?" She's like, "Well, I did it like literally 2 seconds ago. I put together a whole funnel and this and the other thing." And I was like, "All right, cool. What is it?" She's like, "Well, I wanted to give them something they could walk away with if they weren't, they're not doing this now, but they want to be able to get into it. They want to be able to sort of, what did you call it? Restart
your business after all of this isolation stuff and start adding personal brand photography in it."
Yeah. So if you guys want to add personal brand photography, you are talking to the queen of personal branding photography, and she made you a free cheat sheet that you guys can go ahead.
It's coming. I made you a wait list because it was literally right before this. And so you can sign up, drop your email in. It's going to be the things that you need to do to really restart your business and get it off the ground again. It actually is relevant whether you're in personal brand photography or not. It's going to talk about how do you reconnect with old clients, all the stuff. And then if you are wanting to do personal brand photography, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do to get started and get your first paying portfolio building clients in that niche, which is so key because I don't know if you noticed, but lots of people have been forced to start doing classes online, working online, and they're seeing during this whole shutdown how important it is to be online. And they need photos for that. They're like, holy crap, I have no presence here. And so this has really wiped them out. A lot of people have pivoted to start offering online options for their businesses. And so I really believe in the next few weeks, we are going to see the need for more personal brand photographers than ever. And I'm already getting more and more requests from friends who are entrepreneurs for this. And so I don't think there's ever been a better time to hop into personal brand photography. And so I'm excited. I mean, I know it's been hard for photographers, but especially like wedding photographers who had their whole season wiped out. I know lots of friends who've had that happen. This is going to be a great opportunity for you to hop in and make some income pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because I mean, depending on where, if you're in New York, it's going to be a while, but it's gonna, it's going to be the fastest growing thing in photography. I really think this can save the photography industry moving forward. So I'm excited for photographers. It's a great time.
No, I completely understand that and can see that for sure, because right where my studio is located, I have at least 50 businesses like on my street and the cross street, and they're all smaller independent stuff. They're not corporate because we were in like this little historic town. And so there's so much that we could be doing, that's just literally leaving our studio and going to this shop next to us, having a conversation, asking them to get a cup of coffee even,
Yeah,
So,
totally.
but everybody does need this, and we're seeing that as well here. And the move, what we've seen because of this whole pandemic, moving everybody to online education, not only in education, but like my daughter's doing her cheer right through Zoom. Her friend is doing his karate through Zoom. Everything is happening online, right?
Yeah.
And so all the marketing, all of the everything needs to be updated for those things. And I think this is you're absolutely right. This is a perfect niche to get into coming out of this whole pandemic.
Can I share one thing, Easton?
Yeah.
This is a message I got from somebody that I'm in a random group from. They didn't know who I was. It's from Sunday. It says, "Hello, Jamie. I need help with some photos. Do you give any type of advice? Okay, around that, please. We are in lockdown, but we still need professional photos to grow our business. It's the first time we will do this." I literally just got that a couple days ago. There's such a need. It's growing fast, and I just want photographers to get on top of this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Jamie, this has been very informative. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Can I tell them where to go to get that guide?
Yeah. I did post it.
Oh, personalbrandphotography.com/restart. That'll help them restart into photography. Okay, I didn't know you posted it. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Yep, sure enough.
Cool. All right, guys. If you want more info about working with Jamie, she has multiple different programs that can help you to actually launch this from the ground up that are paid in addition to her free trainings that she's giving you guys here. Send her a PM, reach out to her, join the group, because she is helping hundreds of photographers either add this on or completely transition to this every year. And so, Jamie, thank you so much for giving your time to our group here. Hopefully we value it, and you get lots of people that you can help from it.
Thanks so much, Easton. You've been awesome.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. See you guys.